In Scotland, the Community Engagement Project is all about enabling local groups of people living in deprived areas to influence improvements so their streets and public spaces can be made better for walking in. The story which we're about to show you on this DVD gives an example of how the project worked in partnership with local agencies in Dundee to enable local people to have a say about their open spaces. These open spaces had been identified as priorities to focus on. Some of them were quite run down and mainly used for people walking their dogs, and some had attracted antisocial behaviour. By using practical tools from the Living Streets Community Empowerment Toolkit Reclaim Your Streets and creative workshops, we enabled different groups of the local community to have a say about how they thought the open spaces could be improved. And we came up with a lot of new and interesting ideas for how they could be made more accessible to the wider community and a better asset to the area.
Sit back a bit.
What do y'all think of your bits that you've done for it?
About 18 months ago we started work to create an open space strategy for the whole of this area, and we looked at every single open space in the area and gave them all a mark, all scores, and we chose the ones that we thought had potential or needed looked at, and the Miley was one of them. And so we've created a network of groups, including this group from St John's School, who are interested in the space, and we've taken them out into the space and they've looked at it and taken rubbings and collected things and photographs and writings and every way you can think of to interact with the space.
The whole idea behind it was to look at these spaces, to look and see a couple of things. First of all, to look and see what was there at the moment. Yes, are you talking? And to look and see how things could be improved, and to look and see how people used the space at the time, and also to see what things could be done in the future there, what activities could be done in the future there. It was very important to work with as many different strands of the community as we could.
These young people are making artwork to go along to the space, and through doing that they're finding out lots of things about the Miley, and they're taking a bit of ownership, and we're making artwork that will be exhibited in the space. We've had exhibitions of their work. We've been involved in sort of various trips out to these green spaces, and just to experience what it's like being in them rather than just talking to them about them. And we've used creative processes to do that.
And we just did more workshops and thought of good ideas that could be done with the Miley. Up at the Mark Henderson Centre we had an exhibition of all the things that had been done, like pictures of the light, we had the light itself, and we had the bin.
I think the Living Streets had contacted the school and asked if we would be prepared to get involved with them, and we were really delighted that we were being invited. They came to the school and we did a project similar to this but indoors, and just allowing the children to use their imagination and do a bit of art. So they absolutely loved it. Just using paints and lots of different materials, so that was great. And then this is our second time of being out, which is great to get outdoors because they love it. It's just brilliant for them, just socialising and getting out in the fresh air, you know, they just love it.
It's really benefited our pupils because it's just heightened an awareness in our pupils of how to keep an active and healthy lifestyle, how to utilise the spaces in and around their school, and how they play a part in keeping these areas spick and span and improving quite desolate areas actually, and making them more appealing to people to use.
I wanted it to be more people coming and looking after the place, and that say people cutting the grass and that, then it'd be better like that.
We walked along here and made stuff to improve the Miley and stuff. Well, the last time there was loads of litter all up here, and the bin wasn't getting used or anything. So.
Well, St John's High School has been really pleased to be involved with this project because it gives us a strong link to our local area. We take great pride in the local area, and just beside the school we've got the Miley, which was a neglected historic site within our immediate area, and also the Law Hill, which is another famous landmark in Dundee. I think it gives my young people a sense of pride in their immediate area, and they've got something they've contributed which is going to last. And it links us also into local community planning in Coldside, where our school council and their eco committee can do something very realistic and very practical. So it's finally part of the way we want to develop community enterprise in our school, so that there are real activities going on in the curriculum, and there's a real life application of what our young people are doing.
I mean, I think a lot of the young people, when you say to them, you know, we'll do something outdoors, their immediate reaction is, no, I just want to stay in school. But once they get out there, you know, they seem to enjoy it, the fresh air, and notice, you know, a few advantages of doing stuff like that. You also see them in a different environment, which is good.
Okay, the St Andrews Family Support Project is a project for young parents 21 years and under, and the aim of our project really is to make sure that there's good social interaction between them and their children, that they have opportunities rather than keeping their child in buggies all the time. And so we encourage them to use local community and local parks, etc. So we're very delighted to be involved in the Open Spaces project, and certainly using the law as an opportunity for the young people to explore community venues. By creating their buggy on the hill today and their structures, etc., parents are becoming involved, even those with quite young children, and I think that's really, really good. It strengthens bonds between parents as well, so that they can say, oh, come on, we'll go off and do something together out with the support project as well. So that's why events like this are so incredibly good and worthwhile.
It's getting like parents' points across as well, like of what we're needing, because
Well,
if you go to an MP, like, yeah, whatever, but if there's a project aimed at it and it's getting publicised more and it's getting looked into more, then they're like, well, maybe we should follow it through.
Yeah.
So then it's giving the MPs, well, really something to work towards and think about more, kind of like how to improve their city and like what they could do. It's not okay, we need to get teenagers occupied, but we need to get younger kids occupied as well.
I know, yeah. No, it's important for all ages.
It's hard as well because of the perception of young mums, young parents. It's like as soon as they hear the word, it's like, oh, it's their own fault, they choose to do that. But sometimes it's not, you know.
No.
And it's like, well, whether we're young or not, we're good parents. Just because we've got an age doesn't mean that we're going to be a bad parent.
Exactly.
And it's like, well, they just think, well, you're an adolescent, why should we listen to you? When we do know what we want, we know what's best for our own kids, which is decent, clean places to play.
Well, it's been very useful on the Miley that it was identified in the Miley that local people spotted that the path wasn't up to a great standard, and that some of the woodland wasn't managed very well. Now, we're already aware of a fund called the Woodland in and Around Towns Challenge Fund through the Forest Commission, and it was very, very easy to take evidence from the consultation and use that in an application to help us fund improvements to the path and drainage and other environmental works there. So we have submitted an application form, we've been successful, and we hope to start spending that money later this year.
This is great for the open spaces. We promote it wherever we can with one thing or another, and this photographic competition, which has to be taken in the Miley, will help us a lot, I think. Lots of people come out down here walking their dogs or running through. We're eventually going to have a ramp that end from the Clappington Road end to come down, so that people can get up and down with their prams and wheelchairs. Right. So that'll be fine.
There is a big improvement since when we started.
And after the regeneration, it'll be an easier place to access, a nicer place to access, more young person friendly, you know, coming from their ideas that they've had to regenerate the place.
If we just handed out a questionnaire, we wouldn't get a great deal of inspiration back, we wouldn't get a great deal of engagement. Although it's a way that we can sort a lot, and it's quite dry, so it doesn't really inspire anybody's confidence or anybody's interest. Whereas using the artists and going to create something really can capture the imagination and help people engage and encourage those responses that we were looking for. It's been a great process, and I'm really hoping that we can include the toolkit and the environmental artists in quality assessments of other green space in other parts of the city.
When things need to be done in the future, we'll have a strategy, we'll have written down the things that are important to people. So if a planner or a landscape architect or anyone else who has an interest wants to do things in the space, we've got a kind of a common hymn sheet that we all sing from, and that's the purpose of it.